I'm Michelle McLeod, and you're listening to Monday Morning Critic.
Thank you, Michelle. So, first of all, congrats on the Best Picture nomination.
Thank you.
I have to say, and I know what the answer is. It's definitely going to be a yes. Do you have that +1? I could be a seat filler. I could be security if you're going to the Academy Awards. I'm all in if you need somebody.
You're in, Derek. You're in. I don't think I would want any other guest there other than you.
That was kind of my thinking.
Blossoming just so beautifully.
But honestly, what a wonderful an iconic moment for you. And I have to say, I was going through the nominations today. There was yours, which I was so excited about.
Thanks.
And then I had a guest that was nominated for Best Score. I had another guest, Judd Hirsch, nominated for The Fabelmans, Best Supporting Actor. Like, I think the theme of this interview so far, Michelle, is if you show up, good things are going to happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We got this, man. We got this.
So I wanted to ask you, going through your IMDb, it said that you grew up with a family of cinephiles, which I certainly did the same. I mean, I always talk about my dad on the podcast.
Yeah.
What was your house like growing up in regards to movies, television? What was your household like?
Well, it's super fun because also when I think of my cinephile family, I definitely think of my father as well. Every Friday night was pizza and a movie night, and there was no movies off the table for us. It was always going to be like everything. I saw everything, every action movie, every drama, every rom-com, every cartoon, literally everything. And my dad, I'm the youngest of 5, so my dad is kind of like, I like to call him Grandpa Dad because he's a little bit older. And a lot of people like to confuse him for my grandpa. But it's great because he introduced me to like old school movies first. And obviously Blockbuster was a staple in our home. Like, I think everybody knew my family by name at that place. But yeah, we just love movies. We love the magic of movies. And speaking of my dad, like to this day, he's 75 and he goes to a movie a day at the movie theater in our hometown of Peterborough. And everybody knows him by name. They know his coffee order. He is like the movie man. And so going there with him, and I also worked at the movie theater too down in Peterborough when I lived there. But going there with him, there's just something kind of nice to be able to sit with someone who enjoys films just as much as you do. It could be literally anything. And you're able to talk about it, enjoy that time together. And that's really the time that we had spending together as a family. Like, we didn't really have like family night dinners. Kind of what brought us together was movies.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome. I have a couple things on what you just said. I will be a grandpa dad too, because I have a 2-year-old and one on the way, and I'm 49. So people would be confusing me too. And you know what? You came out pretty good, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, you're going to be okay. It's great to have a grandpa and a dad at the same time. Honestly, it's a lot of fun.
Dual roles for sure. So when you talk about this movie, movie nights you're growing up, was it in your house and the theater? Was it just a bunch of things?
Yeah, it was both. I mean, I could remember going to the theater all the time. I mean, it's just something that we did in our family. It's something we continue to do. Like, whenever I go back to visit back home during Christmas Day, we're usually spending at the theater watching something. But mostly it was in our house. Like, as I was saying, a big Blockbuster family.
Very nice, yeah.
To the point where we would go into the store and we've seen everything, and you could just go through the aisles and just start picking movies off the shelf that were like, maybe a little avant-garde or a little different. And kind of we just watched everything. Like, my hit growing up was, I love musicals, old-time musicals, Singing in the Rain, Oliver Twist, The Music Man, An American in Paris. Oh,
yeah.
That is my jam, and that was what I watched. But it was so cool to me to be able to see films and various kinds of films, never being restricted to what I was allowed to watch, so I could see almost like genres and cross genres and actors, and I kind of understood like the world. Like, this was a thing they were creating. They were becoming like characters, and I just love that. It's so magical.
And that's awesome. And Michelle, not many people realize what we did as far as whether it's a VHS store or a Blockbuster, of going to a store or DVD and finding that one last movie when they're all gone. There's one last one. I mean,
one sticker left.
One sticker. Like, it's just like, it's one of those feelings like it's almost gone today. It's like, if you want to watch something today, just press the remote or go to the theater. And I mean, which is great, but it's a time lost.
I agree, and there's so much content these days, just so
Yeah.
much that I can't even wrap my head around everything. I'd love to watch everything, but it's just humanly impossible. And back then, everything it wasn't curated, but the selection you had gave you an opportunity to see maybe a little more or introduced you to something new a little bit easier. I get a little overwhelmed, like when I go on these platforms and I'm trying to pick a movie for movie night. Like there's so many options.
Did Dad see you in the theater? Did he go see Women Talking by himself and see you in the theater, or did he go to any premiere, or was he just watching you on his own?
Yeah, so my dad did come to the TIFF premiere with me.
Okay.
He loved it. My favorite memory of my dad realizing that this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life was I was in this film called Don't Talk to Irene in 2017, directed by Pat Mills.
Yeah.
And I was the lead in it. So I was in every scene, working every day. And I invited my dad to come on set. I had actually had my mom, my niece, my best friend, and my dad as extras in that film. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it was really cool.
Very nice.
So he came on set and he was just overwhelmed with watching me do my thing. It was like the first time he's ever been kind of in that environment, like a filming environment, that he started to cry and he ended up just watching me film as opposed to being an extra. And he said to me that day, he's like, you know what? Like, I always knew you were into acting. I always knew you wanted to be an actor, but I'm so overwhelmed. This is amazing. Like, I'm so happy to see you do what you're going to do. So he's very proud.
How about going from the blockbuster days to now being at your daughter's premiere? Oh my gosh.
He's loving it. He's loving it. I have a very supportive mom and dad, so I'm very thankful for them, and I try to include them as much as possible.
And what do the siblings think, Michelle? They must be ecstatic for you as well.
I have 4 older brothers, and so
wow.
I'm the only girl.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So I'm already the princess, and I'm the youngest. So I'm already doted on. My brothers are very supportive. I think secretly they think this is a great way for me to get more attention. But no, I'm just joking. But no, my brothers are super pumped for me. They know that this has been something I've been working towards my entire life. This is my dream. This is my niche. This is my passion. And every time I hit a milestone or something fun happens or something cool, we're right there in the group chat letting each other know. So they're definitely supporting me 100%. It's very nice to have 4 big brothers. That's 4 protective big brothers that I have. I'm a lucky girl.
The whole situation is just a wonderful situation. From everything you started the conversation with, I mean, what a beautiful place you're in right now.
Thanks.
So I'm just going back to your college days. So BA in theater studies and film, all 3, or am I in the?
Yeah, so I graduated university with a BA honors in theater. So theater studies first. So I everyone told me I needed a backup plan. So I went to university for theater and English thinking that one day I'd become a drama teacher. There's no way I could follow my dreams, I just, it was almost too big of a dream to follow. So I went there, I got my education, thoroughly loved it. And when I graduated, I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to go straight into that. This is my time. I want to do film. And so I ended up going to Humber after that, and I did a course in film, acting for film and television. And from there, I went straight into the conservatory at the Second City. And then from there, I got the opportunity to study at the Canadian Film Centre, which is super prestigious, and very thankful to have had an opportunity to study with some great Canadian actors and great up-and-comers. And from there, everything's just kind of snowballed into where we are today. It's you always have to keep learning, always keep expanding your growth.
Yeah, that's the legendary Second City, right? That's the one where many of the actors, the Canadian actors, other actors have gone through. Like, this is the iconic one, right?
This is the Second City. Oh yeah, it was called the Second City Conservatory. You had to audition to get in. They took about 8 people, I think. And from there, you would study with them for a year, and then you would create your own main stage show. So we ended up writing our own skits and performing it right on the Second City main stage.
Wow. What did Second City do for you, Michelle?
Improv. Improv is just so important, I think, in so many aspects of life. And in acting, it's amazing. It just allows you to go with the flow and be open. I think that's the real trick, is it allows you to be an open person. And being in that atmosphere of being accepted and opened and silly and learning a little bit of freedom when it comes to acting, it was such a great experience for me, especially to learn at a younger age. And also the community here in Toronto, the comedy community is just absolutely amazing. There's a very niche group of people that support each other hardcore. We all include each other in each other's shows, and we all support each other. We go watch all the shows. So it was like building a little family. Yeah. And that time I spent with that group there, building our show, our Second City show, like at that time, that was another dream coming true. It was just so surreal.
Yeah, and I'll say this to every guest I have that's Canadian or from Canada. Canadian kindness is a real thing. Like, it is not, like, people think, oh, it's exaggerated. Oh, no, this is real. Like, I've been podcasting for a long time. All my guests from Canada have been just wonderful. So
I don't know what it is, but there's something infused with this. I don't know. In Canada, where just the sorries and the please and thank yous kind of roll out of us. But you know what? It's good. I like it. I like it. It's nice.
Yeah. So I was watching a lot of your interviews today, and there was one you were on. It's kind of the American equivalent of The Talk or The View. I think it's called The Social. Do I have that right?
That's right. Yeah, The Social.
So this is kind of like not into the Canadian kindness, but the Canadian like emotion, right? So you're describing what women talking is about, and I think the crowd is like going, like they were like taken back. I was like, oh my goodness gracious! I've never seen a crowd get like visibly and like audibly taken back like that. Like, yeah, you're describing what's happening, and on two different occasions they were like, yeah. So talk about your experience on the social. And I heard that correctly? I'm glad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was that actually I caught that too. It was kind of amazing in a way, because I felt like they were emotionally connected to what I was saying about the film.
Yes.
Which is a beautiful thing, because that's the whole point of this film, is that we want people to be emotionally connected to it. We want people to know what the story is about and where it comes from, and the future that could come from this story. And to have them react like that was really cool. And I felt very supported. That was my very first kind of talk show, I guess, experience. And I think knowing and hearing that they were with me made me feel more open to chat about my experience. Like, it just felt very supportive. So that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, super welcoming, and that must feel great.
Very welcoming.
So where were you today when you found out that Woman Talking was up for Best Picture, and what was the first thing you did?
Oh my God. Okay, so yesterday, I got a box in the mail from the SAG Awards inviting me officially to the SAG Awards, which I freaked out, because that's crazy. So like I had a good cry, and I was super excited, and I ended up pumping the music. I was just here with my dog, and I had a little Prosecco. Sorry. And and so I went to bed, and this morning I was like, you know what? I'll just sleep in a little bit, completely not remembering it's Oscar day. And so I was like, I pressed the snooze button, but it didn't last very long because my phone blew up. My friends, I have the most supportive friends in the entire world, and they were up at 8 a.m. and they were ready online to watch the Oscar nominations. And as soon as Women Talking went through, the influx of calls I got from my best friends, and like they were so excited, they were crying. So I was crying, and I was in bed, and I was screaming, and it's a lot going on. So I've just been, kind of processing and feeling very honored and excited to be part of this ride. Like I'm so proud of the film. And so proud of Sarah Polley. Oh my God, this girl. I can't imagine what she's going through, but I'm very proud.
And I wonder how an Oscar works for Best Picture, right? Like, is it like the Stanley Cup where each cast member gets it for like a week? They can bring it wherever they want, like sit it on a bar, like, Claire Foy has it for a while. But it is, because it's such a, Sarah Polley's an interesting director, because she's got like 54 or 55 acting credits. Do you think, Michelle, that's part of what makes her this wonderful director, because she could see an actor's perspective?
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of the things that make her so amazing.
Yeah.
But another thing about that is not only does she have her acting experience, she has her life experience. If you had an opportunity to read any of her books, she's very candid about the experiences she's had, and that shapes you as a person. So she's developed into this beautiful, open, empathetic, supportive soul that is just so genuine. Like, so I've never met anybody so unbelievably kind and genuine, like just face value amazing. And I think that has a lot to do with the care that she puts into talking to anybody that she's dealing with. She was
Right.
not only care with us as actor to actor, but her crew, all the crew, all of her supporters. Like, one amazing thing about Women Talking, which I don't think a lot of people know about, is that she actually took people from her past, so her acting career as a child, people she's worked with as throughout her career, and she brought them into this film, and she built a mega team of her friends and supporters. So everybody that was part of this movie was just pro movie, pro Sarah, pro positivity and support, and that was just lovely to see. But definitely, like, her experience definitely had a play in everything. She was very mindful about our feelings, very mindful about how we did our work, very mindful about the subject matter and how it would affect us. And I just feel very honored and blessed to be a part of that kind of atmosphere. Like, that is a one of a kind situation.
Yeah, and mindful of getting you guys back to your families during the shooting day, right? Not keeping
Yeah,
that
that's
ridiculous
right.
hours.
She was always so mindful, making sure we got home by supper time, which is beautiful because a lot of people have kids and
Sure.
families, and it's important to maintain that kind of work-life balance.
Right. So Mayle's a different character in this because, you know, she's kind of halfway between being an adult and kind of being that, you know, that on the younger side too. She's in that middle ground. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that would be a great way to describe her, for sure.
But, you know, there's also there's abuse, there's a lot of things, that trauma, there's a lot of stuff associated with her. How do you prep for a character like this, Michelle? Because I don't want to say dark, but it's a very difficult character, I would say, because I mean those emotions are pretty deep, and they, you know, people watching that have been affected by those things, it hits home with them very deeply. So your portrayal means a lot to those people who've been through it. So do you carry that weight as you're prepping for this?
Yeah, it's kind of, something kind of magical happened when I read the role for Mayal, and it kind of resonated a lot with me. I could understand where she was coming from with my own reference experience in life. I mean, it's tough to say, but I've been in situations where I've been, maybe not treated the best or gaslit. This is where I've learned some of these words. I've had my mental health affected. I've had panic attacks. I deal daily with anxiety and understand what that's like, and understand what the journey is to understanding what that's like, because many of us may have anxieties and not even know it. We just react or disengage or ignore, and it's because we don't understand the language or how to process these things. So it's interesting because I was doing therapy before doing this film, and I was learning all about mental health and anxiety, coping mechanisms, and why we have anxiety and all this stuff. And I had just come out of that because we were in the pandemic at the time, which triggered most of the anxiety that I had. And so I was learning, and it just kind of magically coincided that when I read the script and saw what her trauma was about, in addition to how she was coping with it, I was like, girl, I get it. I get you. It's not easy. And for someone like Mayal, who, number one, definitely doesn't have the language for it or the outlet to express, but she's also in this weird limbo where she's seen as a woman, but she really is a girl.
Yeah.
And she's probably been seen as a woman for a long time and is expected to act or know how to act a certain way. And that's just, when something like this happens to you, you don't know. And I've never been in the situation that Mayal has been in. And I just, my heart goes out to the women that were. But I can understand what it's like to feel ashamed and not know how to deal with it.
Yeah, that's really well said. You know, and people hear the term anxiety a lot, and I can say it from my personal background that it's legitimately crippling at times. For me, crippling at times. I mean,
scary.
Maybe not on a daily basis, but when it hits like, and people hear that term, they're like, oh, you know, you can, you know, walk it off or exercise, and then people like kind of dismiss it like it doesn't mean anything. Like, but it does, and it does.
Know,
it's different. It's different when you're going through it versus if you're just watching somebody go through it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been stigmatized for a long time because there truly is no understanding purely of it. It's different for everybody. It comes and goes differently for everybody. But the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it. And for Mayel, I hope this portrayal of her helps people realize that like the reactions they're having to their trauma are completely valid.
Yeah, yeah, well said. And in having seen Women Talking, I got to say, and I'm sure your brothers and your dad felt the same way. Having a daughter magnifies what you think about abuse, what you think about the way people treat each other. I'm telling you, I mean, it's not that I wouldn't have been receptive to it had I not had any children, but having a daughter really it's a little bit of a kick in the head. It's like, if this was what would you be going through if your poor daughter had to go through this? You know what I'm saying? It puts a different face on it.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally understand. There's like this great line that Jessie Buckley's character says that women have been great students. And honestly, we have been. And I think this movie is definitely going to change the narrative on that because we grow up in defense mode, in protection mode, because we're told to be wary of the world, to be wary of things that will happen to us just because we're girls, and we accept it. We're excellent students. We go, okay, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Someone comes to you and says something inappropriate, we'll just laugh it off instead of defend ourselves.
Right.
Like there's these stigmas, and sometimes it's easier to do that because the danger a woman can put themselves in when they speak up is sometimes better to deflect a different way and diminish yourself than it is to actually stand up for yourself, which is a terrible thought, but it is what it is. It's just the way the world has unfortunately ended up. So, I mean, it starts a great conversation and puts into perspective that, yes, we have as a whole been learning to act a certain way in our society in whatever gender roles you decide to identify with, and it's a struggle. It's not equal on any part.
Yeah, well said. And Mayal very much there's a term for her that I love that I thought of when I watched your performance, which is fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
Old soul is a good term. She is an old soul.
Term.
She's young, but she's got that old school, old soul mentality.
That's so true. Yeah, I love that about her. It's one of my favorite parts.
Based on a true story for those listening who may not be familiar with it, is that correct? Canadian author as well, Women Talking?
Yes. It's a fictional tale based on a real life event by Canadian author Miriam Taves, who is also Mennonite, which is great because she has amazing insight on that culture and how she's able to write about it so authentically and beautifully. And the real life events are terrible. It really did happen to the point where women in a Mennonite community were getting tranquilized and unfortunately attacked by the men that they trusted in their colony for many, many years until someone was caught. And then they realized, oh, it's the men that were doing this. And for years, they were made to believe that demons and Satan was coming down to punish them for who knows, being a woman, who knows. And in real life, the men that were held responsible did leave the colony, and they were put in jail and are now facing the justice system. Where Miriam's tale starts off is the fictional tale of what if the women had an opportunity to speak to each other without any male influence, without any men in this colony. And it's very important to understand what kind of restrictions they are in. Sarah does a beautiful thing by not strictly saying Mennonite in the movie, but it's implied. Because there's so many strict things going on. Like in a Mennonite community, it goes God, men, and then women. So you have to get through men in order to get to God. Like you have to.
There's a few religions like that, Michelle, if we're being honest.
Well, yes, yeah. Speaking specifically on this, you can see the disconnect.
Right.
And so this would be an opportunity for the women, and this is what Miriam explored, was what if they were able to speak to each other without any of that influence? And that's where her tale begins. And I think Sarah beautifully adapted that into what you saw.
Oh, for sure. And, you can't help but get angry because, I mean, and I'm not going to get into a religious spiel, but like, I just feel like throughout history, it's never been about religion. It's been the human beings behind the religion and how they manipulate it to fit to fit their narrative, to fit what they think is, and that's part of the thing that made me really angry here. Well, angry, like as a viewer, like just absorbed in the story, not like, but yeah, it really
makes you think and makes you kind of react or process what our history is. It's baffling, really.
But and it also gets you thinking, Michelle, how many people or women have got over the course of other religions in history have gone along with this and haven't fought back and haven't have you know what, it is the devil, it is whatever. I mean, that's the part that really, it's like, Jesus, like, it really does open up the door for a lot of other thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, to each their own. Everyone is entitled to their way of life and their religion. And for those women, their choice is their choice. I support them 100%. But if anything, like what is happening in this type of situation goes on, I mean, you feel for them, right? You feel like you wish that you could help them, but it's all they know. When that's all you know, that's your environment, then that's what you're influenced by.
And what an all-star cast from people we may not have known know yet to those, to the Mulrooney's, to the Claire Foys, who was just phenomenal in The Crown. I've always been.
She's so cool. I love the Queen. She's amazing.
And never mind, Francis and all these, Ben, who is. I mean, there's just so much. There's so many great actors. We talked earlier about the blockbuster days and being a fan. I'm sure you're appreciative, but can you be a fan and an actor on the same set? Can you watch them and be like, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so funny. So I'll give you a story about Claire Foy, because you were just mentioning her on The Crown.
Yeah.
So The Crown was my COVID. I just watched The Crown.
Yeah.
And I saw Claire Foy, and I didn't really know her work before that. And she was just so captivating. And I was like, oh my God, this woman, she's able to portray, this biopic, the Queen, beautifully. And she's such a great actor. And like, just the energy and her stance, the power that she has, you can just see it all with her facial expressions. And I admire that so much. And I thought I would kind of like freak out when I met her in person, but she's really cool. Everything was super chill. But when I was watching her perform, like there's this great part in the movie where she is angry, and she shares a bit of a monologue about her trauma and how she feels about it, and it's powerful and beautiful. And I remember watching her perform that, and I think I was just frozen, because not only was I watching someone I know to be a great actress, someone who was developing into a friend, I saw so much vulnerability and power and technique, and just a beautiful performance right in front of my eyes. And I just in that moment realized I'm in a masterclass, and I got to keep watching, because I have something to learn from all of these women, and they're here for a reason. They do this work for a reason, and it was totally poignant. So yes, I am a huge fan of everybody, and the more I get to know them and more I get to know their work, I just am like, I'm in awe. I'm just in awe. They're amazing.
Yeah, see, that's an awesome answer. And you were in an interview with two other castmates, and I don't remember their names, but one of them, she was so dead on with how I would approach it if I was an actor, where she was like, I would stay late. I would watch Sarah do this. Yes, so it's like, I don't understand why all actors don't have the attitude you just said, or what she just, like to me, that's the only way to do it. To like I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay. I want to see what goes. So it's like, but Michelle, it's surprising how many actors don't embrace that opportunity. Like, they're like, okay, we're done. I'm good. But I'm not saying it has to happen every day, but like you said, masterclass. This is where you're never going to learn more than any place but where you are right now.
I completely agree with you. And that was Kate Hallett and Liv McNeil. And
yes.
Liv was the woman who made that comment. And I remember that because I completely agree with her. Movies, the whole making of movies, like I'm very grateful to be an actor, but I'm just a small part in this whole crazy thing to make a movie.
Right.
And I feel like my role here is to help the director mold me into something that she sees or he sees into making a great story. And so I'm at the mercy of the director, because I know they have a vision, which is amazing. And it's so cool. Like this, exactly what Liv was saying. It was so cool to see how they were able to do the hayloft. They built it in this giant warehouse, and we had the blue screens and the cranes, and the way they were able to get some of the shots. There's a couple times actually Rooney Mara had to just hit me because I've zoned out a couple times just staring at stuff, because it's distracting. And if you love movies as much as I do, to see it being made, it's like I felt like I was on like a studio tour every day, but also working.
Yeah.
I love making friends with all the crew and learning about what they do and seeing them do their thing. And it's a big machine to take a movie, and it takes a huge crew of people to make something like this or anything really. So to be part of that, it's fun. It's exhilarating. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm sleep deprived. I don't care about this. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah. And then to get people home so they can be with their families and have dinner and have this amazing project.
Yes.
Pretty
This sounds
impressive.
good. Very good.
A couple more questions, Michelle. Thank you so much for all this time. I have to say, I think this was, from what I researched, this was filmed in chronological order, which is not the norm in almost, like, I want to say it hardly ever happens. I mean, it's not like super, super rare, but it's kind of rare, right? Is that an accurate way of saying
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. Like, you could be filming the last scene of a movie on the very first day. Usually, it always depends on the scene and the sites, kind of how they can fit it in and schedule it, or other actor schedules, things like that. So it is kind of all over the place. But we were really lucky to film in chronological order, because we were always there. Like, usually as well, when you're doing close-ups and your shots and stuff like that, when they turn around and say it was my close-up, the people that aren't seen would usually get a break.
Right.
And they have a stand-in would come in and maybe just read the other person's lines. You would act to them and everyone would get a break. Not in this film. We were always there for each other. Everybody was there supporting each other for every take. For like Claire Foy's monologue, because we were doing it in so many directions, she ended up doing that 120 times. So imagine that fierce power and the energy 120 times. Like, God bless her.
120.
God bless her. Yes, because they wanted to capture all of us. Remember, there's 8 of us.
Right.
And they want to capture everyone's listening, everyone's reaction, everyone's movement. So they were slowly moving it around, and we were in it together. And so that was one of the great things about it, is that all of the reactions and everything are authentic to what is happening. And I've never filmed like that before. It was kind of like doing a play.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is unbelievable. And was she spot on each of those times? I mean,
You
she must.
she was.
Yeah.
She's a pro. Everyone's a pro, but like, everyone was spot on all the time. It was really, really inspiring to see the energy. As I was saying, like, in chronological order, I got to see some of the women do their big moments before I got to mine. And it almost helped me build up enough, I don't want to use the word courage, but there is kind of, you do have to pass a barrier of vulnerability when you're going there, because you're showing something very emotional, and in real life, that's a scary thing to do. So imagine being filmed to do it. And I just noticed, like, the support and watching everyone go through theirs. It gave me the confidence, there we go, to kind of push my own boundaries a little bit in my acting. And for that, I'm truly grateful. These guys are super pros.
Oh, that is so awesome. And for those listening, it kind of reminded me, it's not the exact, but it's a little bit like 12 Angry Men in the premise. It's not the same type of topic, but if people are saying, oh, what can I compare it to? Is that a stretch? Am I reaching?
I don't know. I bet you there's at times we probably were 12 Angry Men. So, right. I mean, no, this was like,
and not necessarily in plot, but in the way it was shot, where you're like, you guys are in the barn, but like they're in the same, like, room. I mean, in that way, not necessarily in plot or anger.
Yeah, no. I'm just teasing. But
okay.
Absolutely. Like, as I said, it's kind of like, it was almost like a play. Honestly, I think we came in and rehearsed it like a play. And then Sarah shot it in chronological order, and the camera kind of moved around us all day. So the visuals, really great. If you notice on the film when you're watching it, she does this great thing where there's always someone in the background, so no one's ever truly alone. I love that part.
Very smart, very smart. So how does the next couple months turn out for you? Like, what do you have to? I mean, you must be busy. You must have. What any projects you want to throw out there, whatever you want to say, Michelle, the floor is yours.
You know what? There's projects hopefully that come. I mean, I'm still just on this roller coaster. We filmed this from July to September 2021, and here we are, 2023, and we've just been nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Like, this roller coaster has been phenomenal with these women, and it's all going to end after the Oscars. So for the next couple months, I'm just counting my blessings, reeling in the excitement, sharing the excitement with not only my friends and family, but this cast and crew, gearing up for some amazing opportunities. Like, we're going to the Spirit Awards. We won the Robert Altman Award for Best Ensemble. Like, that's amazing.
Wow.
And then we're going to the SAG Awards together, and I'm just truly honored, as you said, to be in a room with people I can now call my colleagues, and see them shine, and then the opportunity to go to the Oscars and just support this film and all the amazing work that went into it. I'm here for it. I'm living for it, and we'll see what the future holds after that.
But you've earned it. You've paid your dues. I mean, I've said some
Well,
other
thank
actors,
you.
you know, and I feel like, you know, I don't want to.
Appreciate that.
I hope you get the proper acknowledgement here, because you do. You've worked your butt off in your career, and you deserve to be where you are. You know, it's not like you
Thank
stumbled on this or this is a lottery winning. Last quick question.
I appreciate
We talked about Second City earlier. Tell me a comedy that you love or you'll watch with your dog when you're just chilling around the house, and maybe not like Mal, like smoking a cigarette, like Mal, like badass Mal is smoking a cigarette. What's a comedy you maybe like to just throw in and make when you're having a long day? For me, it's maybe like Step Brothers. What's it for you?
What do I love? You know, like, so TV show wise, what I really love is The Office, because I can just watch it over and over and over
good.
again.
Yeah.
And I love the deadpan kind of comedy. That is my true favorite. And when it comes to movies, I'm all about, you know, female comics and cast. Like, I remember when the movie Bridesmaids came out, like, that is my kind, that's my life. And that's also my kind of comedy. Like, those, like, I resonated so hard. And same with like Sisters, but you just said Step Brothers, which is also a great movie. Like,
Yeah.
all those silly comedies I love so much, because there's genuine truth in that. That is like being a human, and some of the situations we put ourselves in our daily lives is very funny. And I just love being able to laugh at ourselves in that way. And so those are kind of my go-to things. But The Office, Superstore, if you watch Superstore, like, just some gem shows.
Yeah. I am so happy for you, and you know,
Thanks.
you give your dad a big hug and you appreciate him, because believe me, I
will.
and have a few more of those movie nights, because you'll always appreciate it no matter where you are in life. But Michelle,
Aw.
thank you. I'm rooting for you. I'll be cheering for you, and all the best to you. And thank you for this time.
Thank you, Derek. I so appreciate it. I had a great time.